Welcome to another episode of Bonus Stage Plus. Of course, my name is Billy, and of course, to my left on your screen, hey, I'm pointing it right.
Nice. Hey guys, it's Renzo, the official player 2 of the Bonus Stage Plus. Happy to be back here in another week of the Bonus Stage Plus, of course, talking about the latest in news, gaming, trailers, and whatever else under the sun, and in our hands in the form of controllers, keyboards, mouse, whatever it is that has you.
Even phones, man.
Taking
Even
up your
phones.
time. Even phones.
We got news, like Renzo said. We got trailers, like Renzo said, and a bunch of other surprises that may be coming later on in the show. And of course, if you want to find us, we are at 95 Play FM, as of course the entire station, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, even YouTube, with a slightly different channel name. As for yours truly, that is it_burns. On a whole bunch of social media platforms. If it's there, I'm likely there too. Just search for that username. And you, Renzo, how do we find you?
It is at Renzosaurus all over social media, RenzoSaurus.
And man, would you look at the time, how about we get to some news? And to open things up with news, well, Renzo, I know you're looking forward to CYBERPUNK 2077, right?
I mean, who isn't? It is the highly awaited game, of course, from CD Projekt Red, promising us an open world sandbox cyberpunk city and experience. What more could you ask for?
It's man, it's gonna be quite the game. And of course, they've been hyping it up for years. There have been numerous delays, but you know, delays are just fine if it means that, you know, they get to put out a quality product and the workers continue to operate in favorable conditions, which, you know, brings us to the matter at hand. Of course, the release date is fast approaching. It's November of this year. Not too far away, considering it's already October by the time you're watching this, right? Yeah. However, an internal email that's been circulating around CD Projekt Red may be going against some of the promises that they made earlier this year and even late last year, saying that they won't implement crunch in, of course, making this game or getting it out the door. Renzo, for those unfamiliar with crunch, can you give them a bit of background on that?
Okay, so crunch is a term used in game developer circles to define or at least refer to the crazy amount of work that is asked to be done in a short amount of time, leading to a crunch of work, leading to many developers, coders, programmers, quality assurance employees working horrible hours, overtime, around the clock, 7 days a week, and causing, of course, many negative health effects and high stress levels, which is unfortunately a prominent practice in many big studios and AAA game developers. Like, I mean, we don't want to name names, but it is a very prominent practice in the industry, and it is definitely looked down upon. So when CD Projekt Red made these assurances and promises just last year, saying that they would not force their workers to work crunch or, you know, to work in like a crunch-like environment, it really meant a lot to people. But what's going on now internally, Billy?
Well, of course, it's the last lead up till the game's release, and of course, the reasoning behind this is they can't afford to delay it any further. And for this particular crunch, they're requiring, or they're mandating, I think that's a stronger word that we'd like to use for this one, everyone to report for 6-day work weeks. Of course, the working hours are going to be wildly different, but considering that we are so close to release, you can expect the hours to be quite insane. So these are, of course, people with families, with lives outside the studio. I can see how something like this can possibly affect that. And okay, on a personal note, yeah, it is pretty disappointing that they're going back on what they promised, you know, earlier this year, late last year, that they wouldn't resort to crunch. However, there have been some internal reports saying that they've already been resorting to crunch, but in smaller quantities over the past year or so, leading up to the game's release. Any thoughts on this, man?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, for those of you who don't know, they were supposed to originally release April 16th, got pushed back to September 17th, and again, most recently to the November 19 release date, which again is a little over a month away. So with that little time left and all these bugs and game balancing issues that they still have to fix, it is understandable. But I mean, at the end of the day, Billy, us fans, as you mentioned, we don't mind waiting a couple of more months if it means that the employees of CD Projekt Red will be working under humane and favorable conditions, especially during this time wherein overwork and stress and a lack of rest could lead your resistances down and could make you more susceptible to something like COVID-19. So it's very scary, of course, for all these programmers. But at the same time, CD Projekt Red studio head Adam Badowski did mention in the internal emails that he said, "I take it upon myself to receive the full backlash for the decision. I know this is in direct opposition to what we've said about crunch. It's also in direct opposition to what I personally grew to believe a while back, that crunch should never be the answer, but we've extended all other possible means of navigating the situation." And so that really means that he's admitting that he knows that he's going back on his word and going back on things that he said in the past. However, it feels like they're out of other options, because at the end of the day, they have to release this product and make money. So I feel like this is one of those situations where maybe powers that be that are out of his control, maybe people who finance the game, they no longer see it viable or feasible to delay the game any further. So I guess he had to make the hard decision.
Oh yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as much as we really want to get our hands on Cyberpunk 2077, you know, we're still more concerned about the people who make our games, especially when that's an issue that really is being discussed a lot. And if you're looking for other stories of crunch around the video game industry, you need not look far. Actually, just a simple cursory Google search will do all of that for you. And please, if you're unaware of this, do read up on it. And with that, of course,
Naughty Dog.
let's move on to the next one. And moving along in news, of course, we got something about one of the few Battle Royale games that I really got into, and of course, it's been a while since I played because, you know, other games take up my headspace, but this might be a really good excuse to get back into it, because finally, Apex Legends, as we've discussed before, is finally getting crossplay, and we have a confirmed date. Renzo's got the details, so drop them.
All right, folks. Well, you're watching this on a Monday night. Well, I'm happy to announce that tomorrow, October 6th, we will be getting the official, of course, cross-play enabled Apex Legends servers. So your friends who play on PS4, Xbox One, or PC will all be able to play together in lobbies. And of course, it is happening along with the Aftermarket Collection event that was just announced and trailer dropped last night, with a very adorable video showing Rampart hosting the Rampart Shopping Network, if I'm not mistaken. And it shows Rampart just announcing the new cosmetics that are available along with crossplay, and even teasing some new skins for Revenant at the very end there. It's just a lot of fun. But one thing that is also included in this trailer is the introduction of a brand new LTM. For those of you wondering what LTM stands for, it's limited time mode, so special game modes that don't necessarily fall on the usual ones like trios, duos, and rank. This one is going to be called Flashpoint, and it basically revolves around the fact that the game will have no healing items whatsoever. Syringes, batteries, cells, Phoenix kits, out of here, get them out of here. And in exchange, we're getting portions of the map that are called flashpoints, in which they are massive zones dotted around towns in Kings Canyon where players can gradually recuperate and regenerate health and shields. And so this is going to be a center point for a lot of crazy fights. So if you want to maybe heal yourself up, all you got to do is enter a flashpoint. But wait, no, there may be 4 or 5 squads there trying to heal up their shields and health as well.
That risk-reward element, man.
Yeah, and what's even better is that the circle will always be closing. For those of you who play Battle Royale games, we are used to, of course, rounds being announced and the circle closing in timed intervals. But this one is just going to have a ring that's constantly closing on a flashpoint. So the final zone will always be on a constantly healing and regenerating flashpoint zone. So it's going to be ensuring a lot of mayhem and a lot of fun for those of you who want to inject that bit of new life into your Apex Legends experience. Plus, the skins look pretty freaking cool. I mean, folks, the new Caustic Heirloom. He's got a freaking axe or a hammer or something. It looks absolutely amazing, and we're super excited for it to drop again tomorrow, October 6th.
If you're watching this as it airs. And other things that I want to note here, since you mentioned Flashpoint, right? That is going to be incredibly fast-paced, and you know, we're all used to playing some sort of battle royale over the past couple of years, right? Whether it be PUBG, any of its contemporaries, even, of course, even Spellbreak, the most recent one, has timed intervals for that area to close in. But if it's something that's just constantly shrinking, you really have to be on the move. You have to keep on running, and that slow, methodical approach that a lot of people would usually like to play their battle royales with is just completely thrown out the window. There's still going to be a bit of that, especially if you're one that doesn't like to engage until the late game, but it'll force you to come out of cover and just really get in there. I can't wait.
Yeah, and Respawn has done this before with another game mode called Always Be Closing. So they've introduced that constantly closing ring mode before, but this is the first time they're doing it with the Flashpoint zone. So I'm super excited to see the combination.
Okay. I got Apex Legends right here on my PC. I got it on my PS4. Is this time to dive right back in? Pretty much. So I guess I'll be seeing you online, man.
Heck yeah.
And well, before I dive in and update them, let's discuss more news. Now, you and I, Renzo, in our conversations right before bonus stage and at the end of home run, we've touched upon how weird Blizzard Entertainment is these days. Like, it's not really the same company that it was, because a lot of its original staff and talent left, and we might be longing for the days of that old school Blizzard magic.
Yeah, I mean, the glory days of just when Frozen Throne came out, and you still have, of course, when we were fresh off of Diablo 2 and still had Diablo 3 in our sights. But, as of late, again, Blizzard has run into a couple of problems and scandals here and there, which have caused a lot of people to turn away from the company's products. And we say this both as, consumers, and even some of the industry people have decided to kind of break off. Now, what's going on over there, Billy?
Well, over the past years, or actually even longer than that, we can actually even chalk it up to, of course, over the decade. But let's talk about the most recent one. So, of course, Mike Morhaime, a name that most, if not all, Blizzard fans know. Of course, ex-president, CEO, and a founding member of Blizzard. He parted ways with the company sometime early last year, the first half of 2019, and well, if you're wondering what he's been up to, well, he's forming a new studio. It's called Dreamhaven, and on closer inspection, if you're looking for that old Blizzard magic, it just might be here because of the lineup that they have. All right, deep breath. Ben Thompson, who is Hearthstone's creative director. You have Dustin Browder, who worked as the lead designer for StarCraft 2. Jason Chase. He's the former Blizzard Entertainment executive producer, so, he handles a lot of the financing, he vetoes decisions, of course, greenlights games and such, makes the final decision on them. You've got, of course, Alan Dabiri, who worked on Heroes of the Storm as its game director, Chris Segatti, who was StarCraft 2's executive producer, and Eric Dodds, the original Hearthstone game director. So look at that lineup of talent, and it's spread among, of course, Dreamhaven and this other studio called Moonshot. So, man, those two, of course, are going to be the embodiment of the spirit of old school Blizzard moving forward. Not to say that there have been other studios like Runic Games, the original Torchlight developers. They've made some really good work, and I love Torchlight as a series. So this latest one is just another one of those studios that's basically rose from old talent leaving an already established game studio to form a new one, and I can't wait to see what projects they'll come up with in the near future, or maybe just a few years from now, because come on, they just formed. Maybe they're still planning whatever it is. They may or may not have any ideas as to what their flagship or maiden project is going to be, and that's what excites me. I mean, these are people who are very integral to, of course, our respective childhoods. of course. A lot of the most important games that we played growing up, and to see them team up once again is just exciting. I mean, come on, you can sense how giddy I feel right now, right? Right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, brand new studios means, as you mentioned before, it's really not fun to know that a lot of people that are controlling your media are owned by one single company. And that the same could be said about, you know, companies or game developers like Blizzard, because they have so many already established IPs that of course they're trying to take as global and are trying to cash in on as much as possible. And maybe you lose that spirit of innovation that makes game development such a rewarding experience for these people, and, you know, even more fun for us gamers who get to play these games. So I hope they take in that spirit of just wanting to create new things as opposed to just sticking to what you have made like a decade ago and trying to just build on that constantly, trying to make more money off of it. So I'm super excited, as you mentioned. Exactly, yeah. And so I'm super excited to see what, as you mentioned, their flagship game or maiden game is going to be. But I mean, with the minds behind Command & Conquer, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and, you know, the original spirit that Blizzard once had, we're super excited. I'm super stoked.
Wait a minute. We still got trailers.